Now, let's talk about Shabana Mahmood. I'm still with Isabel Oakeshott, Talk's international editor. Today, Shabana Mahmood, Isabel, hosted an international summit, a summit of European leaders. And she is taking familiar refuge of the Labour Party in particular, but all these Home Secretaries, in the lie, the sort of pretense that international cooperation is the key to solving our migrant crisis. She goes on, and she said in a speech, she admitted that this government has, and I quote, failed to bring order to our borders. Really, Shabana? Who knew? What a surprise that is. And she said that the ongoing failure of sealing our borders and the ongoing crisis is, and again I quote, eroding trust, not just in us as political leaders, but the credibility of the state itself. Well, she's absolutely right on that, but this is her fault. By the way, these summits representatives came from countries like Albania, Bulgaria, Germany, Greece, Kosovo, Poland, Serbia, and some others, apparently. This summit, by the way, let's just get this on record, will achieve what all the other migrant crisis international summits achieved, the square root of sod all, absolutely nothing. That's what they will say. We're international, if we cooperate, if we work together, we can solve this. No, 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 Shabana, this is what you have to do. Leave the European Convention on Human Rights. Stop putting migrants in 4-star hotels. Stop giving them free food, stop giving them free doctors, stop giving them free dentists, and stop giving them mainly, most importantly, lawyers to fight their case to stay. Stop all that, leave the ECHR, and our migrant crisis will start to be solved. She won't do any of that because that's to do with human rights. Labour is addicted to human rights. They won't do any of that. So she is going to be just as useless as Yvette Cooper and just as useless as all the other Home Secretaries who have fallen onto the scrap heap of political history, having failed to even begin to tackle this shambles.
You know what there were many things that annoyed me about this today, but perhaps the thing that annoyed me most was the use of the word proud. Shabana Mahmood said she was proud that the UK was providing international leadership on this issue. How absolutely delusional can you get? The only leadership, the only example we're setting to the world on illegal immigration is precisely how not to handle it. And the idea from our Home Secretary that we're providing some kind of global leadership is frankly embarrassing. But look, they've got a habit of this, haven't they? You know, just as Bridget Phillipson pretended earlier this week that the UK played a leading role in the peace in our times in Gaza, now we've got a Home Secretary pretending that we're playing a leading role in global solutions to organised crime.
We don't need a global solution, do we, Isabel? We need a domestic solution. It's pretty easy. Have a look at what Donald Trump did in America, Shabana, and do the damn same, otherwise you've got no chance.
That's precisely it. Now, of course, it makes sense. And I was only saying this last week. You know, of course, it makes sense to support allies who are demonstrably doing practical things to stop people coming our way. So if there are countries that are actually stopping boats heading towards Britain, brilliant. But I'm afraid that our experience shows that those countries are very few and far between, countries that actually mean it. And what is more likely to happen is that you get what the French do, and we give them hundreds of millions of our taxpayers' money, and what do we get back? Well, basically French shrugs. That's what we get. And so, you know, Shabana Mahmood takes thinly veiled aim at Reform UK and Nigel Farage, saying, you know, pompously, the solution to all of this is not to turn inward. And I think we know what she means by that irritating little phrase. What she's saying there is the solution is not to be Little England about this, but she is wrong. And what Nigel Farage understands that she finds so difficult to grasp is that we can only rely on ourselves in this crisis. You know, we can't actually control what the whole of the rest of the world does, what sub-Saharan wars are going on, what nightmares are unfolding in the Sahara. You know, we can try to help some of those countries a bit, but ultimately, the only people we can rely on are ourselves. It is on us to resolve our border crisis, and it is on her in particular.
Yeah, and already she's proved she's going to be the same as the rest. Labour are addicted to human rights, and therefore they won't leave the ECHR. They'll carry on giving all these migrants all these incredible enticements. As the French always say, how do you expect us to stop them coming across the channel when you in Britain offer them the earth as soon as they get here? They're absolutely right. I mean, almost above and beyond anything, 48% of them, when they apply for asylum, get to stay here. It's ridiculous. Our entire system is ridiculous, and all Shabana Mahmood is doing, just like Yvette Cooper, just like all the useless Tory Home Secretaries as well, is just fiddling around the edges. Here's something she announced. This is getting tough. Migrants coming to the UK will need to speak English to an A-level standard under tougher new rules set to be introduced by the government. Look, we're not even deporting paedophiles. Do you think we're going to deport people because they don't speak very good English? I mean, come on, it's just absurd.
I mean, they can make these announcements until they're blue in the face, although they don't really announce anything much. But no one's going to believe any of that. You know, there are probably hundreds of thousands of people in our country right now that don't speak level English, because we've brought in so many people with zero requirement to do so. So I've got no faith in that whatsoever. And, you know, this summit today reminded me, Kev, of another summit that we mocked at the time, and quite right so, which was at the end of March. And that was one summit hosted by one Keir Starmer. And our hapless Prime Minister convened representatives of some 40 countries. I don't know if you remember it, Kev.
I think I do, yeah.
You and I said...
all these summits blur into one, don't they?
we were like, what a waste of time. This is more than 6 months ago. What a total waste of time. At that time, the Prime Minister once again laughably claimed that he was spearheading, that was the word that was used, spearheading international efforts to smash the vile people smuggling gangs. By the way, Shabana Mahmood still using that phrase. She used it again. Can't believe it.
Honestly, Isabel, look, I've already consigned her to the scrap heap of useless Home Secretary history. She is going to be, or she's already proving, she's just as bad as the rest of them. They've got no resolve. They won't tackle this. They won't leave the ECHR. They'll carry on giving all these asylum seekers everything they've ever dreamed of. Then they'll go and trash the hotels we put them in. It's just going to go on and on and on. Shabana Mahmood is going to be as hopeless, as ineffective and as weak as all the rest of them. It is already very, very clear. Quick pop fact for you. It now turns out that migrants in this country make up 1 in every 6 universal credit recipients. So apart from anything else, even when they get allowed to stay here, these asylum seekers, these migrants, are costing this country a fortune. 1/6 of all welfare recipients are migrants. That's unbelievable. Now, also, we need to talk about this before we go to break. Big splash in the sun today, and a very good one it is too. This is just madness. We are, us taxpayers, yet again, always us, long-suffering British taxpayers, we're funding a £260 million contract that provides, among other things, luxury art classes, IT lessons, puzzles, pastimes, God knows what, craft lessons, these are people, there's the front page of the Sun, what a waste of money. These are people in immigration removal centres at Gatwick Airport. £260 million we're spending. They're about to be deported. They're these rare people who've had their asylum applications turned down. They're getting kicked out of the country. We put them in these removal centres around airports, and then we spend £160 million giving them art lessons. IT lessons. I mean, this is insane. This is insane. I mean, everybody, let me know, can you think of a better way of spending taxpayers' money, £260 million, than essentially giving it to people who next week we will kick out of the country? I mean, this is just a swirling mass of derangement, isn't it?
I mean, I like to think of these sums of money in terms of what ordinary people have to pay every year in their taxes. So just think about, for example, a nurse or a teacher or a window cleaner or a construction worker, and how much tax they pay for a whole year of work. And it's just, you know, typically, I don't know, maybe £10,000 or something. That represents a huge chunk of what they've spent long hours toiling to earn. And it's just tossed away in this utterly scandalous manner by this government. It must make people who are struggling to make ends meet, which frankly is an awful lot of the population at this point, feel completely sickened that their hard work is going on this sort of totally unnecessary nonsense. Frankly, the people who are responsible for these decisions should be fired. Doubtless it's these big public sector service providers, the Sercos, the mighties of this world, are all enmeshed in this culture of just scandalous waste of taxpayer money.
Funny you should say that. It is a Serco contract.
There you go.
It's a Serco contract. As I say, it's annoying enough when you learn that asylum seekers in asylum seeker hotels are given things like free driving lessons, free video consoles, free trampoline lessons, free trips to the zoo, days out, and all. That's annoying enough. But when you find out that similar kind of luxuries we're giving to people who next week will kick out of the country, who are earmarked to be deported, they're in deportation centres. That's just a disgraceful waste of public money, absolutely disgraceful, and it feeds into this kind of cultural idea that these people, that for somehow or other, we have kind of put these immigrants, these asylum seekers, these migrants onto some kind of pedestal, and they are treated, it's become part of our culture that we treat them a lot better than we treat our own people. It's a sickness, I think.
It's a deep malaise, and it is certainly making a lot of people feel sick. You know, these are detention or deportation facilities for people who are about to be, let's put it bluntly, kicked out. They're not the business lounge of the first class, you know, flights out of the country. It's not a hotel. These are deportation facilities, and we shouldn't be wasting a penny on these people. You know, I don't care whether they've got nothing to do. Give them a pen and paper or a book on, you know, how to behave better and not to come back to Britain, and let them get on with it. You know, they're not our problem anymore.
Don't give them any green spray paint, though. You never know what they might get up to.
Yeah.
Let's go to break. When we come back, well, good news for reform. An incredible poll reveals that if we had a general election tomorrow, Nigel Farage would become Prime Minister, and he would be sitting on the biggest majority in parliamentary history. Something's going on here. We will talk